All right, welcome to Sports Music and Other Ish. I'm your co-host Vic,
I'm your co-host Big John, aka the Black Jerry Maguire.
and today we have with us Miss Judge Yolanda Huff. Miss Judge Yolanda Huff was born in Taylor, Texas, earned a Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Texas at Austin in 1989. As a mother of three, she worked while earning a law degree from St. Mary's School of Law. After earning her law degree in 1996, Yolanda opened up her solo practice in San Antonio, Texas. In her 21 years of practice, she handled criminal, child protective services, and personal injury cases. She practiced in Bexar and a number of surrounding counties, including Wilson, Medina, Anacosa, Frio, and Uvalde. While working the CPS docket, she represented hundreds of children and parents. She learned how important it is for foster children to receive effective legal representation. Criminal law was perhaps the biggest part of Yolanda's practice. Yolanda handled thousands of felony cases, which taught her that justice must be tempered with mercy. Besides raising her children and running her law practice, Yolanda has donated her time and money to several worthwhile organizations. She is a board member of the Youth Transitioning into Adulthood. This worthy nonprofit helps foster kids who are leaving the foster care system. She is also a member of Children's Court Ad Litem Association. She served twice as president of San Antonio Black Lawyers Association. Judge Huff served for 12 years on the advisory board for the Dispute Resolution Center. She has been a member of the San Antonio Criminal Defense Lawyers Association, and she was the staff attorney for the Felony Drug Court for 2 years. Judge Huff, been a member of the NAACP for the past 3 years, community, church, and her legal career all helped her to prepare Judge Huff for the most rewarding job of her career as judge of County Court 12. Judge Huff ran and was elected judge of County Court 12. She was sworn in and took the bench on January 1st, 2019. Judge Huff also presides over the mental health docket. Since taking the bench, Judge Huff has been asked to serve on the Bexar County Domestic Violence Commission, the board for the Ministry of the Three Crosses, and she heads up the Bexar County Specialty Courts Coalition. How are you doing today, Judge Huff?
I'm doing good. Well, that was making me tired just listening to it.
A lot of great accomplishments.
Yeah.
Judge Huff, let's start off with how are you doing during this COVID-19? How are you and your family?
We're doing good. Everybody in our family is really blessed. All my children, Devin, my youngest, started his college classes on, they went online. My son, his job, my daughter, her job, everybody was able to, no one lost their jobs. Everyone was able to do their jobs remotely from home. And even as I'm judge of the County Court 12, all my dockets went Zoom except for jury trials. But the mental health court, County Court 12, everything was, this is our new reality. So everything I know it's some give and take a little bit. I'm learning hit and misses there. But for the most part, I think everything's moving along with Zoom. Yeah.
Good deal.
Good.
The first question I have is, what made you want to become an attorney? Was it a family member? Was it someone that you've seen, that you looked up to, that made you want to become an attorney?
No. I've wanted to be a lawyer since I was 11 years old. And I can't even remember what made me want to be a lawyer. I was raised in North Carolina, and I didn't know any lawyers. I never met any lawyers. I only saw lawyers, Perry Mason on TV. It probably really helped if I had met an actual Black person lawyer in my day. That would have been fantastic, And I'm the first person to really graduate from, and I've had people that go to college, but even on my dad's side and my mom's side, I was the first person to actually graduate from college. Now, after I've done it, there's a lot more have graduated. One of Devon's cousins, she's working her PhD in deaf education. So I always say, it just takes one, one to lead the way, and a lot of people come after you. So I just wanted to do it. It's just one of those careers that I thought about it. I remember when I was 12, I sent out for a application to Howard Law School in DC. I still today, they actually sent it to me. I'm 12. They sent me the application for law school. I don't know why I did that. I still have that in my paperwork, that they actually mailed me that law school application as a 12-year-old. I was one of those kids.
So in your bio, it talks about how you were a mother of three working to get your law degree.
Mm-hmm.
How difficult was that?
Well, I mean, when I started law school, I was 19 when I had the bar, and then I was at UT Austin, and so he is like it's like we were brought up together. When I started law school, I think Devon was 6 when I moved to San Antonio to begin law school. So he's been always with me. And then about when Devon was 10, I adopted Sheila, and then Devin came when I was an attorney. So like they were spread out, but I was still a single parent raising these children. And yeah, it could be, especially with Devon and going through law school. I mean, when you are a freshman in law school, a 1L, they don't want you to work at all. So they stagger your classes out from 8 to 5, and they do that because they don't want you to have a job. Your job is law school. So I had this little boy, 6. He's in school, and I would have to run home real quick, get him from somewhere, bring him back, and then I would still have classes till 5, and then you still have to study all the way to 10 because you always have to be prepared to read these 300. Oh, there's so much reading they give you. The next day, it was, yeah, when I think about it, it was very challenging. But nothing in life that's ever worth having is ever easy to obtain. And I tell my kids that, my mental health clients, my defendants that come before me, this generation, I don't know, they think things are going to be easy. And I'm like, if it's hard to get, if it's worthwhile, it's going to be very hard to obtain. It's not going to be easy. And I say, don't even expect that it's going to be easy, because if it was easy, everyone would be doing it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if anything in life you could think of, from your marriage to raising kids to getting your degree, anything, if it is worthwhile in this life, it is going to be hard to obtain.
No,
and that's the truth. As soon as someone just makes peace with that, the younger generation, make peace with that. I have on my mental health court, it's a young lady. She's only 19. She's bipolar. I sent her to inpatient for 4 months, and she came out and she just picked up, still doing the same stuff, getting drunk. She actually picked up another case. She was before me. She had to come before me on a Zoom, and she was crying. She was saying it wasn't fair. She's on probation. Other people are done, and she's bipolar. And I told her the same thing, like, who said it was going to be fair? Why do you think this is going to be easy? It's not going to be easy. Like, life is just not fair. And the sooner you make peace with that, the sooner you can get on with your business of life. Like, you're bipolar, you're in a criminal situation, and you keep comparing yourself to other people. That is a losing game. I'll tell my children all the time. That whole comparing yourself, you're never going to win that game. That's just a losing game right there. So yeah, not easy, and life is not fair.
I really like that part of your story. I think we have a lot of women who may have children young and feel like that their life is over, or they can't achieve, the goals that they set out before they got pregnant. And I think you're a shining example of, as long as you work hard and focus on what you want, you can get it done.
I believe that from just the depth of me, that whatever you want in life, you can have. If you want to put in the work, how willing are you to put in the work for what you want? There's nothing, you want to be a millionaire? You can get that. You want to be the greatest singer? You can get that. It's just how much work do you want? Do you want to outwork everyone else? Because that's what it's going to take. Like, people start on that journey, and a lot of people fall off because it's hard. But again, it's, anything worth having is usually hard to obtain. Like, Duvall, when I was an attorney, Duvall was in high school, and he said to me, why do I keep telling his friends that they can be lawyers too? Because I always say, it's nothing special about me. You can do it too. And he said to me, why do you keep saying that, Mom? I was like, well, it's true. I really feel that way. There's nothing special about me. If you really want it, and you're willing to put in the hard work, you can do it too. Like, nothing will ever make me not believe that you can have what you want in life if you are willing to put in that hard work for it. Yeah. And that young teenage moms, that young girl I was talking about on my mental health court, do you want your life? Are you tired of all the chaos? Are you tired of the mental health illness? Are you tired of the drug? If you want your life to be straightened out, put in the hard work. It's just, there are no shortcuts to it. No one's going to hand you the magic stick for it. It's just putting in the hard work, and you can have that. But that sentiment that is so hard. Can someone make this? What is the shortcut? There are no shortcuts to it. There's no shortcuts to it. I don't care. Like, if anything seems too easy to be true, it usually is. there's no shortcuts. But if you put in that hard work, you can have what you want. You really can.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I believe that. And when I hear your bio and me knowing you personally, I hear a lot of sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
I hear a lot of sacrifice. And one thing that I get from the kids nowadays, they don't want to sacrifice nothing.
Nope.
They just want it. Everything is going to be give and take. You got to take the good with the bad, and you got to figure it out. And if you're not willing to sacrifice something, whether it's some time with some time with some people or anything, you're not gonna achieve your ultimate goal. But I wanted to ask you, just as a female and a minority, a Black woman, what kind of challenges did you face, even when you were in law school? Because I know that's a very, very competitive field, with the people in your class. I don't know, but I'm wondering if most of your classmates were white or male.
Yeah, I mean, St. Mary's was a law school. Like, there were 7 Black people in our class, and that's a class out of, like, say 260. And you would have thought that was, and I'm telling you, 7 people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That was the greatest number of African Americans they ever had at St. Mary's. And you would have thought by that number, it was like 100 of us. I mean, they had discussions with the dean, lowering the GPA, for, just lowering the stats for us. You would not believe the vitriol that, because it was 7 of us, and that was the most St. Mary's had ever had. And they in law school, you go in by section A, B, or C. So I was in section A, so it was 7 of us. So they put us 2 in A, 2 in B, and 3 in C. I guess they were trying to spread us out. It was ridiculous. It was, in 1993, that it took that long to get 7 Black students at St. Mary's Law School. Yeah.
That's great.
It was, we faced a lot of stuff. And it's a judge here, Judge Carruthers. He's an associate judge. He was like there long time ago. There was just 2. And he tells, the stories he can tell you. Just 2, what people that come before us have endured. Oh, yeah. I guess you can tell, like, my outlook on life is always, I'm just one of those the glasses half full type people. Mm-hmm. So even in the midst of all that, my attitude will always be, if I can make it to any law school, I know I can do the work. I know I'm smart enough to do the work. I know I'm gonna finish this law. I know I'm gonna be good enough. So that's always like, if St. Mary's let me in, or wherever I apply, you guys let me in, I know I can do the work. There's not a doubt in my mind. So, like, if whatever is facing me, like, I'm a smart person. I know how to study. I know I can do this. There's never a doubt in my mind that I can do it. So whatever all the noise that's going on around you, you push that aside. Like, I'm on my dream to what I want to do finally, and everything else that's coming, that's just noise that you can push that away. You're gonna be good at that, pushing that away, that noise. I call it the noise,
Yeah. Do you think, you talked about them lowering the GPA and the requirements and stuff like that? When it comes to African Americans getting into law school and stuff like that, do you think that we're just not informed, or is this a field we don't actually look into when you were coming up, or is it just the requirements?
You mean like actually getting into law schools and medical schools?
Get into law school, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's like that question is so complicated, because you would have to go back to LSAS, SAT scores, what you brought up with, like the fact that I didn't have anybody I never even knew a lawyer growing up, not even a white or a Black, let alone a Black lawyer. Like, my background versus someone coming from a family of lawyers, they have all the advantages. They know this. Like, I mean, if you put anybody in a situation where they have no knowledge of it, how well is that person going to do? As opposed to if you put someone in a situation that they have a background. So it's like we're always starting so far behind, and like we're always playing catch up. And it's not like we're not smart enough, but if we've never been exposed to certain things, how can we win if we've never been in situations that they're expecting us to know? They're expecting us to show up on day one. I've never talked to a lawyer. I've never even met a lawyer. I mean, this is when I was little, of course, by that time I had, but it's always these situations that we're always thrown in. And I'm talking about, like, even still today in 2020, there are still so many high school kids, black kids, that are going to high school, and they're still that term, first generation college kids in 2020. You know, like, and it's like we're still trying to climb this mountain that they are exposed to, but think that we're going to show up on day one knowing all the everything that's been that's pushing them forward up the mountain. We don't have that. So many times we don't have that. It's like we're always reinventing the wheel. Like, I had to learn all this, like, for my children, they know, because they live in a house of a judge now. So, but I didn't. So it's always like I'm playing catch up to my classmates. Even when I was at UT Austin, still playing catch up. In law school, still playing catch up. But we're doing it. We're still winning. We're still here. We're making it through. But so I guess the answer to your question is like, no, I mean, that background, John, of like where we're coming from, where we are in the game, as opposed to where they are in the game. And it's like, when I say that they were complaining that our GPAs were lower, like, it wasn't true. They just say that, like, well, your dad called someone at the school and got you in. How is that different than letting someone that's like economically and socially disadvantaged to let them in? How do you go about leveling the playing field of who gets to be a lawyer in America? Because lawyers are, they make the law, they're congressmen, they're judges. Who gets to be in these positions of power? And that all starts out from like high school, college, and law school. Who gets these few coveted seats? Because, like, they're only, like in Texas, there are 8 law schools? I know the state of Wisconsin only has 1 law school. So that's like, if that state only has 1 law school, who's going to get in that entering class every year? Who's making these decisions? Because that's the next generation of power. Because I've been an attorney for 21 years when I took the bench. So by the time I was taking the bench, all the people that were graduating with me were already coming into positions of power. So like, we were the next generation that I had a friend that was a federal judge, some friends that already owned judges. So I'm saying this to say that these freshmen that are taking these seats at law school, at some point they're going to be the leaders. They're going to be the ones that are the CEOs, the president of organizations, the firms, the judges. So who's making these decisions? Way back when I was just in UT Austin and a freshman getting a seat at law school, that's controlling who's the next generation that's leading America and the world. When you look at it like that, who has that power? Yeah. It's a lot of power, if you ask me, because now we're coming into like, okay, because at my class at St. Mary's, there were 4 of that 7 that I told you about. There were 4 that are judges now. We all got to be judges. 1 is in Dallas and 3 in San Antonio. We all got to graduate from St. Mary's. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely creating leadership roles for our community. Mm-hmm.
I'm really interested in so you graduate from St. Mary's bar. What makes you decide to start your own law firm versus joining another one?
Well, it was easy to do, to hang out your shingle. St. Mary's San Antonio is a very easy city to practice law. Like, I got sworn in and the judge told me, come back tomorrow and I'm gonna give you a case. And so I showed back up and she just gave me a case. Like, you can just get cases that easy. Like, I thought to myself, like, if I'm gonna work hard, I can really do this for myself. I can do this. I can build up my practice and do this for myself. That glass is half full type of belief that I have, that I know that I can do this for myself. If I'm gonna work so many hours and with small children, I can tailor my time that I'm working hard. I'm working very hard for myself. That was my belief in why I decided to go into to just open up my own, just become a solo practitioner, because I'm working so hard. I did work really hard in the beginning, but it was all for me. It was building up me, building up my practice. You know, you're never going to get rich working for someone else.
Was your mindset, was that, did you have in the back of your mind, like, I want to do this so I can show my children, you know, this type of mentality so they can see that I don't have to work for someone else, that you can build?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really did. I wanted them to see that. I want them to see me working hard. I wanted them to know that they can do it too. I wanted them to know that they can be their own boss, that if this is what you want to do in life, you work hard, you can do this too. That they're one of my 3 kids are one of my driving forces of showing, like, you followed me, wanted to get on this road to be like, they were the reason why that I actually put my hat in to become a judge, because I was very devastated when Trump won. I was really complaining. I was very upset. Anyway, I don't know if it was David or Sheila or one of the kids saying, well, what are you going to do about it? And what can I do as a lawyer? But I can run, I can be a judge. Like, I thank Trump and Beto that I'm a judge because the voters came out, well, in San Antonio, the Democrat voters come out in 2018. And that was like an indictment on Trump, that how many Democrats came out in 2018 in Bexar County. Like, when I decided to run, I went and did my research for the bench that I'm running for. I went back 20 years to see the voting patterns of how, like, when Democrat is in office at the top, I mean, president, that who comes out to vote. And so the highest number that, say, for instance, a Republican was in office and then the Democrats would come out, is that the Republicans that won my opponent by like 35,000 votes from the Democrat. He beat the Democrat by that much. Well, when we came out, the Democrat class of 2018, I almost won by 100,000 votes. So that tells you that the voters came out, so much. Like, no one had ever, like, it would flip off. Sometimes the Democrats would beat the Republicans by like 10,000 votes, or sometimes 20,000. And then the most I saw was 35,000 that my opponent had beat the Democrat opponent. And so that would have been 28, that would have been 24 years before that, maybe around 2014, I guess. Anyway, yeah, in our vote, my votes, because you can go back, I'm learning all this as a new candidate until, like, you have overvotes and you have undervotes. So that means that an undervote is someone goes in there to vote and they vote on a lot of different things, but they don't vote for you. You can tell someone voted, but they didn't click your name for whatever reason. And an overvote means that someone just walked in there, voted for you, and left. They only vote. I don't know why they would do that, but I got 2 of those. I was thinking, like, is that some of Devin DeVos' friends? Literally, they only voted for me. That's called an overvote. So, and then you would get, like, they break it all down, like how many, like, you got, how many he got, and by precinct. And so, yeah, 100,000 votes like that. And that what is that telling you in Bexar County of, like, because that number was just humongous. That I'd never seen it all going back 20 years of the voting trends of someone getting that many more votes than their opponent. But I say that probably wasn't more of an indictment on Trump and the Democrat, because that was midterm. So 2016, 2018, that was, the midterm votes. Yeah.
So listening to that, I guess we go ahead and jump into later.
Okay.
So in our community right now, there's a big thing about voting, and we have candidates up for presidential election. We have Biden on the left, and then we have Trump running again. And we have some that believe, hey, you should just go and vote no matter what for Biden, and kind of put past, the crime bill that he wrote. Also, how he was vocally opposing busing and integration in the 70s. And then his relationship with, was it Strom Thurmond, who we know was segregation. Then we look at all the things that Trump do. Like, we know with his background, with his racist comments and things that he's done in the past, and some of the things he's saying now that are, igniting a lot of fueling hate in our society. So, and then we have a group that says, you know what, I'm not voting at all. Why would I vote for the lesser of two evils? I'm not going to vote at all. And then we have people saying, well, no vote for Biden is a vote for Trump. How would you address that in our community about voting?
Well, of course, I'm an elected official, so I want everyone to come out and vote. But I'll say this about the people that would say, if you look at, okay, Biden has his problems, right? But if someone is one way and they can say, I've changed or I've seen the light, at one point have we ever seen Trump admit any wrongdoing? Did you ever think in your lifetime you would have a sitting president tweet out white power? I mean, he's not even trying at this point to hide it. He's not even trying to bring the races together at all. I mean, you could put a pretty face on it. You could lie to us. He's just like, I believe in white power. Klansmen are good people too. I mean, I never thought in my lifetime I would see a politician. And I don't even really think Trump is a Republican. I just think Trump is Trump. I don't think he's a Republican or a Democrat. I don't really think he cares what he does to the country, how he tears the country down, at all. To me, at all costs, this man has to go. You don't do, I mean, even I have friends that are Republicans. I have judges that are Republicans, and we may not see things we may not see things the same way of how to address society's ills, but I respect them, and I think that they think that they're doing right, like in their conservative viewpoints. That I believe that they think their view of how America should be run is just the right way. They don't wish any ill will on anyone. They're just conservative. I'm liberal. I freely admit I'm very liberal, and I don't even think Trump thinks that. I just think he's for himself. Like, is Biden conservative? Is he liberal, or is he trying to do what he thinks is best? And when at the point of time in his timeline of doing things that he thought it was best, I don't feel that way about Trump. And I will say this, that when Hillary lost and Trump won, I was prepared to give him the benefit of the doubt, as opposed to some of my friends. I would say, well, this man has traveled the world. He's very wealthy. He's traveled the world. He's met a lot of different people. Like, usually when people travel the world, they see different people in different situations, different cultures, you'll get a viewpoint of more acceptance, I would think. Mm-hmm. But no, he's not. No, yeah. My hope was that, like, well, let me just hope for the best. Maybe he is not like he's gonna be okay. No, he's even worse than I ever thought. That's my viewpoint. And Biden, I would definitely be voting for Biden, because I think at all costs that Trump should be. I don't even think he's fit to be president at all. That he needs to be taken out of. He needs to be voted out. And I don't say this a lot on, like, I don't post this or anything. These are my personal feelings about it. If you ask me, if there are questions, about it, and that's how I feel. Like, I really worry about our country under the leadership of Trump. I'm seriously worried. And this is a country that has not been good. People like us, over the course of this nation, but someone like Trump, I don't think in his decision making, I think it's all about him. It's not the well-being of America. Right or wrong, liberal, conservative, that's not his view. That is not his main point to me.
I can agree with that. I feel like he's about a me type person. As long as his family and his friends are taken care of, I think that's kind of where he goes. Now, for someone that would bring up the 94 crime bill, what is your thoughts on that 94 crime bill that Biden wrote?
Well, it was. I mean, I was a defense attorney for like 20 years. Of course, I don't like it because I'm not for. I mean, the whole point of all the specialty courts, why the specialty courts were created, is to lessen recidivism, to keep people out of jail. Because we all know that jail doesn't change anything. It's a cycle. You're going to send someone in for 10 years, 20 years. They're coming out the same way. They're coming back out. It isn't. Sending someone to jail does not change or rehabilitate that person. True, like I mean, are you guys familiar with the specialty course and what they do and how intensive they are? You just said.
I actually run a drug court. And
yeah, so you see how intensive it is, and you see what hard work it takes to get someone like my mental health court is 12 months. And it takes putting someone in a program that intensive to where you're dealing with their underlying mental health, their underlying drug problem, and you monitor them in a very intensive way because they see me like once a week to really get them on. And it's 12 months. And sometimes I think that is not even long enough to really, if someone has been doing heroin for 16 years, is me trying to work with them for 12 months really long enough? No, I don't think so. And then the defense attorneys are complaining that 12 months is too long. And I'm thinking like, you really think so? You think someone that's a prostitute, they're meth addict, and we're trying to get this person to stop doing these petty crimes and to stop recycling in and out of jail. I'm getting off the subject, but I say this to say that jail is not the answer. So definitely the crime bill is not the answer. How do we make very real systemic changes in the criminal justice? I think everybody should see documentary 13 because it is just so awesome, telling how we got where we are right now with so much. You know, when I was a law student, I had these fanciful ideas about how I was going to be when I came out as a lawyer down for the cause. But when I got out and I saw like so many young Black men, I had no idea that many young Black men were on, if you're not in jail, you're on probation. It's like some kind of way the system is going to find a way to legitimately keep hold of you and your whereabouts. Because when you're on probation, they can just go up in your house. Like people don't know that, like, they don't need no search warrant. You're on probation. They can come up there anytime they want to. So it's like, and I remember I had one young guy, he was 19, his first drug case, and it was a good case. I told him, let's take this to trial, because what he was doing, he was selling drugs to a kindergarten teacher. And the kindergarten teacher was letting him use his Mercedes because he didn't have any more money. So my client just wouldn't return the Mercedes after, the guy wanted his car back. Y'all heard the story before. So my client just driving around this Mercedes and wouldn't bring the car back to the drug person, the druggie. And so here he is, a kindergarten teacher, right? So what does he do? He calls the cops and said that my client had stole his car. Well, we already knew what the deal was. And I said to my client, that teacher is not going to come to court and testify against you that this is what happened. Like, it's a hot summer day, he's getting tired of walking looking for his car, he just called the cops on you, report his car stolen. That car, he gave you that car. He was like, nah, I'll just take the probation. I tried to talk him out of it to keep his record clean. Of course, he took deferred, messed deferred up. He still ended up going to prison some years later, because he was just an example of everybody ever come in contact with us. I just never knew. They didn't say this to us in law school. Like, when you get on the ground and you see, God, how many young Black guys, young Hispanic guys too, are either in prison or on probation, that some kind of way the government has a way of like just knowing where you are, monitoring your because that's what it really is on probation, and monitoring your every way. I just didn't know. To me, it was just like, this is just chains, invisible chains, but still chains. You're still locked down. You're still in chains. This is just a different. Now, I didn't see that movie 13, but I can testify that documentary is so correct. Of like how many young Black men, young Hispanic guys are just so involved with the judicial system. It's unbelievable, and it's truly is not. I would say this, like, every Black man in my family has had trouble with their license, getting tickets. And I don't think it's because I'm just a better driver. It's because they're just Black and driving. They get stopped a whole lot more, and the Black women don't. But I mean, even Devin, the 19-year-old, has gotten stopped by cops, like, just because they're going to get stopped more and they're going to get more tickets. They stand a better chance of losing their driver's license. And is that just a coincidence? Like, so am I just my license is intact and I'm just a better driver? No one ever stops me? People don't stop me like that. No, we know what's going on here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned about your client that was a drug dealer and he got the car. It's kind of funny, man, because a lot of people are willing just to take that plea to get it over with.
Mm-hmm. Too many.
And because I guess the district attorney, they scare them with this whole, well, if you go to court and you don't win, then we're going to hit you with the max. You know what I mean? I mean, if you don't win, you're going to go to jail anyway. If you take the plea, you're going to go to jail. I don't want to go to jail at all. If I'm going to go, I'm going to go hard to go home. and you know, as Vic talked about earlier, you guys talked about is the specialty courts. When I was with Comal County, I worked in the drug court, assisted in drug court as well, and the type of intensity that you have to have in those specialty courts is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
See, another thing I always been a proponent of is, I know we got aftercare and I know we got all this other stuff, but what about the aftercare? Because people who come from those type of situations and the people who come from prison and all this other stuff, they need more than that. You know, they need a lot more. So I guess what I'm trying to ask is, from your perspective, how do we fix that? And then, you know, also we get guys or people who get a case, like your guy, he may have just been a drug dealer. And I'm not minimizing drug dealing at all. I want nobody to listen to the podcast and say, "Oh, you for drug dealing?" No, I mean, you're doing what you got to do. I mean, I'm not going. So, we take a person that may have like small offenses, and some kind of way we get them into the system, right? And now they don't went in here with these hard criminals, and they done came out even a worse person than they was when they went in.
And I think the studies have shown that if someone that's 15, a small crime, send them to juvie, they're coming out so much worse. Yeah. That does not fix anything.
Oh yeah. See, and that's the crazy thing, because right now I do some work up at the detention center, and basically we'll see kids in there, and they'll be in there for, you know, you'll have kids in there for murder.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have kids in there for attempted murder. You'll have kids in there for breaking and entering, you know, or something like
petty crimes, stealing from Walmart.
And then you can see, and you can kind of see once they start talking with these other kids, because, you know, everybody talks. They start talking with the other kids, and now it's a whole different situation. Now when they get out, they hanging out with each other. Now this dude who just had a petty crime, now he back, and guess what he did? Murder.
Yeah.
He just moved up. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I know our system is definitely broken, especially when it comes to minorities and actually, you know, people of color. I don't know what's the answer to that. Is it just more people like us working in the system, or is it?
I think that's definitely part of it in the system. Like, I can see. Okay, I'll tell you guys this. Bexar County is a county of about maybe 1.7 million people. And that's San Antonio, the biggest city, Bexar County. Of all the judges, there was not one elected Black judge in all of San Antonio, not one. And when I was telling people that, now we had some associate judges that are appointed by other judges, but we didn't have any elected judges. So when I was campaigning, I went to so many Black churches, and I would say, how many of you guys know that there's not one elected Black judge in all of our city? That's almost 2 million people. Hardly anyone knew that, because I would say that something that is important to you, to me, the law and health is the most crucial things facing the Black community. Law, health, the judicial system, and healthcare, right? So something that's so important to you that no one even knows that there are no sitting Black judges, not even one, never. As a matter of fact, we had never, ever had anyone that had attempted to run and won until there's 3 Black ladies won. That had just to say, I'm going to run, and then I'm going to win. It just couldn't, we just could not get it done. It was just because Bexar County is only like 7% African-American. So we couldn't get it done until this time. And so when I say that, and I say, look, and I would explain to them, when we are running to get on that bench, it doesn't stop there, because once you get on the bench, the judges have committees, and they make decisions about what goes on in the community that affects you in a very real way. So I was giving examples. Okay, so how many know that when you get arrested, You go before a mag judge, you get your bond set and you get, conditions set. You have to go before the mag judge does that. Well, we had never in the history of Bexar County ever had a mag judge. And that's the last ditch effort to say, like, if a cop arrests you for something, they go before the mag judge and the mag judge can say, there's not enough evidence here. This case can be kicked out. So we had never in the whole history of Bexar County ever had a mag judge, like, what I'm talking about, you guys, your probation officer, when you get arrested, they get to go and get their Miranda rights and everything. They go before the mag judge to get their bond set. Never. So also these judges make decisions about things that go on in court, what the bond amount's going to be set at. These judges, like us, I have a judicial meeting every month, and we make decisions. We'll say, like, if a defense attorney is going to go visit someone in jail, should we pay the defense attorney or not? Because what defense attorney wants to go visit someone if they're not going to get paid for it? So the judges vote on things like that. So if we don't have anyone at the table that looks like us, who's looking out for us? Who's looking out for the African American or Hispanic community? If you don't have anyone at the table that looks like you, that I can see when I'm on the bench and a young Black kid will walk in 19 or 20 with his parents, and when they see me, I can see the difference on their face, because that 19-year-old kid looks just like my 19-year-old kid. That he doesn't look like a thug to me. He just looks like a 19-year-old kid to me. That's how I'm looking at him. Like, I'm not looking at him as like he's a hardened criminal and like he's just acting in a conformative way he should be acting as a Black male and acting out criminally. I just see this kid made a mistake, just like maybe my kid would make a mistake. That's what I think those parents are seeing when they see me, like the relief on their faces. But that's the reason for diversity is a good thing. A little bit of everybody at the table, not all of one kind. So I would try to explain to the community that it doesn't just mean that I'm going to be judged and I'm going to be sitting on that bench. You got to understand that how it all breaks down and how the judges get a committee, who's voting on what, who's doing what, who's making laws that are they're impacting your life in a very real way. Like, we had this, so it's a young, that came in with me, it's a lot of Hispanic and Black judges got elected that hadn't been before. So this young Hispanic judge, she is a probate judge. So she came to visit me and she said, I want to get your opinion on it's called the Eminent Domain Committee. Now, I never heard this. I've been an attorney for 20 years. She's like, there's an Eminent Domain Committee in Bexar County, and what happens is that it's a panel of just ordinary people. All you have to do is live in Bexar County and be a property owner, and it pays $250 an hour. And when the government is trying to come in and take someone's land, they will call these people on this list to have this panel to come, and this person, you come and present your case to the Eminent Domain Committee, why you should get paid more, why you think that whatever the government gave you is too low. So these not lawyers, right? I had never heard of this, because guess what? That committee was only made up of just older white men. She said, I believe this committee needs to be more diverse. And so I just started asking around. I started asking a lot of the older politicians in Bexar County, have you ever heard of this Eminent Domain Committee? Like, nope, never heard of it. It was like a secret society. Like, who doesn't want to be on the committee that makes a decision if ordinary citizens should get more money for their land? Like, how be it that I've been a lawyer for 20 years, never even heard of this committee, and many of the politicians had never. So I was rather, I got to know this person, that person, that person, that person. And she actually called these people up, and landowners, Black people, and she wanted them on that committee. And they call me back, yeah, I'm on the committee now. So if I wasn't judged, if she wasn't judged, we would have never known this. People in the community would have never known this. Like, how do people can you imagine if minorities that were coming before that committee, did they ever get a fair shot? I don't know. I didn't even know there was a committee to begin with. But now that we got people someone that looks like me, you, at the table saying like, they taking this person's land. It's like something about a shared background makes you, understand that person, where that person is coming for a lot more. And those are things that when I was sharing to people, like, you guys don't know what, like my son, circling back around to my son in the voting thing. Like, so you don't want to vote. You think your vote is not important. You don't think that these things impact you. And I mean, in a very real way, a real way of like, your son is going to, people ask me all the time, like, well, how is that judge? I said, I don't know, go down to the courthouse. It's open court. Anybody can go at any time and sit in and see what kind of sentences that judge is giving out. Go and see. Nobody cares until their loved one is in trouble. Then they want to say, well, that judge is horrible. Well, you voted him in. Did you do anything to vote him out? Like, voting really matters. Voting matters, especially on this local level. it really, like in Bexar County, we have 14 specialty courts. We have the felony drug, the misdemeanor drug, DWI, mental health, veterans. So we have so many. And so these programs, especially on the felony level, keep people from going to prison. So now it's like, who gets these special, not going to prison, but getting these special resources of getting themselves back on track in life. Like, I made it my mission to, when I get on the bench, to just go out in the community and tell people, hey, there are options out there. Your loved one doesn't have to go to prison. If all your loved one ever does is gets arrested for drugs, stealing, they obviously have a drug problem. And send them into prison for 6 years, 10 years is not going to help. Like, put them in a true treatment court. And that so many people have said, we never even knew about specialty courts. We didn't even know what that was. No one's ever told me that there were options. I can get my loved one in this, because the attorneys will say to me, those programs are too hard. I'm like, I'm not going to beg you to cut into these programs, but I know unless you're helping this person deal with these underlying issues in their life, they're going to keep cycling through the judicial system over and over again. So I said I've been like doing seminars all over Bexar County, explaining to the community what the specialty courts are, especially for our community, and how they can really help people in our mental health issues, veterans, DWI, we have Esperanza Court, prostitution, because I want them to know there are options for our community. There are options. If no one's ever told you that when you go to court, if your defense attorney's not telling you, the judges, no one's telling, I'm telling you that there are options out there. There are real, true options out there. Because I say that to say that again, voting is so important, because unless you get someone like me that really, I have a passion for helping people. I want people to know, I mean, me being judged is like, I love being judged. I love being on a platform that can help such a greater number of people. And, you know, I really enjoyed that. And so people would have never gotten to know this. I would have known that I liked it. I actually like being judged more than I thought I would like it if I hadn't taken a chance to put my name in the hat and ran. But if people are going to say voting doesn't matter, how will I ever make it onto the bench if people are going to take the attitude that it doesn't change anything, that voting doesn't matter?
That's true. And what you were saying about, you can see the difference in people that look like you when they come into the courtroom, when they're placed on probation and they'll see me in office. Like, you can just tell it changes. Like, when they see me, it's different. I've had people like call and try to request, like, hey, I want to be on your caseload. I'm just
yeah. I think it makes a difference. I do.
It does make a difference. And I think, you know, the specialty courts, like you said, I remember meeting with the judge and they were asking me, you know, what was my outlook on the specialty courts. And I told them, I said, you know, I felt like I've done more for help people and I've seen more change in the specialty courts than I have on the regular caseload. Because I might see you once a month on the regular caseload and you go home and when they're seeing you once or twice a week. And then we go before the judge and they actually get to sit in front of the judge and have a one-on-one conversation with the judge. When when you get into the criminal justice system, you go before a judge, you have an attorney there to speak for you. You don't speak freely to a judge. But when you place in these specialty courts, you actually get to speak to the judge and kind of pick up on who that person is. They get to know you personally. They see you, you know, at your most vulnerable. They look past just your rap sheet. You know, they looking to see what you've been through. And a lot of people don't understand that when you place in these courts and the people that have these long-term, these drug addictions, like, it's a lot of history that comes behind.
Oh, man, so much.
Like that they've been through. And to get to this situation where you can actually get to a point where we're going to say, you know what, we're not going to send you to prison. We're going to divert you into one of these specialty courts where we can get you the resources that you need to get you to be a productive citizen. So I definitely understand your thought process on the specialty courts. And the one thing I did want to touch on was when you said you was running for judge, you had to go to a lot of different Black churches. And that I don't think we understand in our community is how much power our Black churches have in our community and how they can either pull us all together or they can push us all apart from each other. And I think I credit the Black churches, man. They helped us, the 3 Black women that were running. Oh my God, I didn't even know San Antonio had
I don't know, 5,000 black churches. I didn't even know it was that many.
Yeah,
I must have visited sometimes we would hit like 4 or 5 churches on a Sunday, man. I didn't even know. And he was like huge churches that would have like 2,000, 3,000, New Creation, like big Resurrection, big churches here in town, But the black pastors, they really promoted us. They gave us time to come in. They would introduce us, put us on the platform. I just can't thank them enough. It was Joe Gonzalez is our new DA right here, right? He got elected, right? Beat out Nicola Hood. So I remember one time we had went to something and Joe Gonzalez said, we were walking out, we was at a church and he says, man, I love it that the black churches do this. He says, I'm Catholic and we don't do this in a Catholic church. I laughed to myself because for him to say that he doesn't know the history of the black church and civil rights movement, how it always comes from the church, this is part of our history. Like he didn't understand why the black churches still to the day are so involved in the politics and helping the black community, because that's how the black church has always been there for us. So I didn't say anything to him about Martin Luther King was black and he was a pastor, right? So I didn't say anything to him, but I kind of laughed to myself for him to say that and he didn't understand the whole history of the black church, politics, and what it means to our community. Yes, black churches are so crucial. They played a vital part. They really, I would say they pushed us over the edge because they helped us so much in our campaign, and just right now when one calls me or wants me to go do something, I'm there, man, because I look at that they were just there for us when we were running.
Yeah. You were talking about the getting petty crimes and then being sentenced heavy for them. And one thing that we're starting to see is that we're starting to lift some of these laws on marijuana. And I know it being a misdemeanor court, I'm pretty sure you see a lot of marijuana
because Joe Gonzalez has said he's not prosecuting marijuana cases anymore in Bexar County. So all those cases that come, they're just, they get dismissed. We don't even, because McManus, the chief, said that it's still the law, so he's still his officers still arrested him. But I got to be in their mind that if the DA is saying, well, you can arrest him, I'm not going to prosecute, so why would the cop go through all the trouble, right? I'm bringing someone in possession, man. It's so ridiculous to me anyway, just a little bit of, anyway, I digress. I shouldn't even be saying that as a judge, but so they're not, these marijuana cases are not prosecuted in Bexar County, which to me is a good thing, because we can be putting those resources to so many more other things in the criminal judicial system.
Do you see that as being the new normal across, I guess I'm saying stick with Texas. Do you see Texas kind of moving in that direction, permanently?
Yeah, you mean eventually legalizing marijuana?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. I think, and I think to myself, they made new laws. They sent us all to prison. Now they're gonna, it's gonna go away, and guess who's gonna make all the money off the the farms, marijuana, the stores. Yeah, that's exactly well, boy, we cannot win for losing. This is. I always tell people this. This is about maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I heard that Budweiser was teaming up with one of the marijuana dispensaries, and they were going to make a beer-infused marijuana. So to me, that got my mind to thinking man, Budweiser has done all the research way into the future. It wasn't even that many states that were legalized marijuana. It's maybe 8. But Budweiser, they got teams of people that are already projected way into the future, 20, 30, 50 years, how this thing is going. So if Budweiser is saying, I'm teaming up with a marijuana dispensary to work on a marijuana-infused beer, they done seen way down the future how this thing is going. This marijuana is going to be legalized, probably federal one day, and they want to be in on that good foot. And we never are. But what happens that we were the ones that went to prison. They built more prisons. They said we got criminal records of our thing. But now that it's going to flip, who's going to make all the money off the marijuana becoming illegal?
Oh, absolutely.
Things to think about.
Yeah, it's going to be the biggest cash crop in America.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Hemp farms. Seriously, you don't even need that many acres. 3 acres. Done did my research.
You guys. I'm going back a little bit. But earlier you were talking about in the specialty courts how you actually get to address the judge. I thought when I was in drug court, I thought that was the biggest thing. you know, because, man, we just want to be heard, man.
Yeah, it's true.
We got something to say. Like, we don't want the lawyer to talk for us because he might say it his way. I never will forget. I went to China, and I had my translator with me, and I told him to say something. And I told him to say something. It was pretty stern to this guy who owned the team. And I looked at him. I said, "Hey, man, you didn't say what I told you to say, did you?" He said, "No, I can't talk to him like that." I said, "No, you got to say, not to tell him just that, because if you don't, he's going to think something." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can only
you want him to say it like something gets lost in translation when someone is trying to say what your sentiment of how you feel, but the person that said it for you is not saying it how you want them to say it.
Absolutely. And so I can understand how somebody going before a judge can feel. I mean, it's, you know, you don't really get to say your piece. It's like a assembly line justice. You know, you come in there, are you here for this? All right, DA, what we got? All right, cool. All right, we out. Yeah. You know, that's it.
Yeah.
You don't get no say.
When you have 50, 60 people on your docket, you can't talk to anybody. You're just cranking them out. Like, you know, but my special court, like when I came in for the mental health court, I changed so many things up. And I'm not in my robe. I don't sit on the bench. We push the tables together, and we sit around a big table, and I'm on this side like this, and the defendant is on the other side, and he's sitting, and we're talking to each other. I'm not in my robe, and we're sitting across from each other, and everybody in the courtroom kind of melts away because I'm having a conversation with that person. Like, I'm giving them accolades for them doing well that week, or what happened, why did you fail this drug test? I'm talking to them, and I think that when I first came in, the previous judge was on the bench in his row. And so I told my mental health team, I didn't like this. It's not my personality. I don't want to be on the bench. I don't like talking down to them. Like, I want to be on a level that they can feel comfortable. So I got off the bench, we sit at a table, and I got out of my robe. And that just really opened up the floodgates to them really being comfortable and talking to me about what went on, and me talking to them about why did they do this, why did you do that? Because I'm putting them in this direct position of how you're sitting right across from the judge, say what you want to say. You know, like, and I'm saying to them, I'm disappointed, or, oh, you did great this week, or I'm disappointed, you know, I thought better of you. And me, it's just, I mean, you know, it's evidence-based that the more time a defendant has before FaceTime with the judge, the better they're going to do. So some of mine, they'll straight up tell me, I just didn't want to disappoint you, Judge. I like how you treat me, and I just didn't want to disappoint you. And they got to come back and see me, because I'm tough. Like, I'll send them an inpatient in a minute, man. Like, I will. I don't even listen to those tears, because I look at it like I love you enough to want to do good. And if that means sending you to inpatient to my office for 4 months, I'm going to do it. And I don't care what everybody's crying, you're going away, because you're going to have to beat this drug problem. Nothing you're going to do in life is going to matter until you beat this drug problem. You know, like, get another job, and that's not going to beat the drug. Get another book, that's not going to beat you got to tackle the baseline of what's making your life so chaotic. Because when people come before me, I'll say to them, "You want the chaos to stop? You ready for the chaos to stop? Okay, nope, another day. All right, see you next time." Because I'm not begging anyone to come. If you want that chaos to stop, because it's chaotic. You know what a drug life is, a chaotic, crazy life. You ready for it to stop? You're okay, then. I got a plan for you. Come on, let's come over here. Let's get on this program. And I'll say, you know, sometimes they'll be at that point where they'll say, like, I'm ready for the chaos to stop. But as soon as they get on the program, oh, this is too hard. Like, nope, there was a reason why you agreed to get in the mental health court program.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing about those specialty courts too, and you kind of just touched on it, is that the consequences are immediate.
Oh yeah,
you know
immediate.
I mean? You ain't got to go through no violation of anything. Nope. It's like, oh, you ain't do what? Okay.
Yeah. They are right. Like, Judge, you got to put her on the bench. Like, something happened on Friday. On Monday, you right before me.
Absolutely.
Explaining yourself.
It ain't no 6 month wait. You know, your paperwork getting lost in the shuffle.
Yeah. And we know, like, I know all my, all my participants. Like, I have about 55, 60 people in my mental health court, and I'm seeing them continue. Like, I call docket. We staff the case at 1 on Mondays. I go in after we staff everybody that's going to be on the docket that day. We go into the courtroom and we call the docket at 2:30. We go all the way to 5, sometimes after 5, hearing all the cases. And then we actually have a PTD, mental health, a pretrial diversion in Bexar County. So you have a mental health issue, diagnosis, you have an underlying case, and you're not put on probation. You can just do this 12-month program and the case goes away. And the DA's office now, they monitor it very closely, who they let in, because, it's PTD. But I really appreciated that this is your one shot still to keep your record completely clean. And the PTD program, the participants do very well in it. And the mental health court, the PTD. We actually have the newest specialty court that Bexar County is just getting off. It's a domestic violence specialty court. And it's for the perpetrator, not for the victim. Now, it was so unpopular. It took this judge so long to get this program, because everyone can sympathize with a victim, but who sympathizes with the perpetrator? But how she explains that, unless someone is going to come in and break these cycles of violence, like he or she learned from their family, they're now inflicted on their loved ones, and then their kids are just going to keep going and going and going till someone just breaks that cycle of violence. And she's willing to tackle that, man, because it was so hard to get funding, because most of the grants for the special court specifically say that you cannot, if anyone has an assault case or a violent case, they cannot be admitted into the program. Well, she's the exact opposite. That's all she's taken in is, but hers has to be PTD. They can't be on probation. It's a PTD. Like my PTD mental health one is all for most of those people that come in are like, 19, 20 they're fighting their stepfather, fighting their mom, their siblings, and they have a family. But the family doesn't want that person to go to jail. They just want, he's mentally ill. They want help for him. So that's who's mostly on my PTD docket. It's assaults, but family, against family members. The family wants help. The community wants help, because what's the point of sending someone that has a mental health diagnosis that's fighting their stepfather to jail? Nothing good is going to come of that. Yeah. Nothing good. So her program, I'm just really glad that she got this domestic violence. I'm just really looking forward. I know there's some good things that come out of it.
And when you talk about PTD, you're talking about pretrial diversion. So
pretrial diversion.
Of course. And this is what I keep telling people. Like, this is, when we talk about reform in the criminal justice system, like, this is where it's going, to specialty courts. So if you have a drug problem, instead of sending you to prison or put you, we're going to put you on a caseload that's specifically for drug abusers. If you have a mental health issue, we're going to put you on a caseload that's strictly for mental health.
Exactly. So when I got on the bench, Vic, so all the 14 special courts are kind of like operating in these little independent silos by themselves, right? I said to all the special court judges, why don't we come together and form a coalition and address all the issues that affect special courts in a way as a unit. There's unity and there's strength in numbers. And so I formed it. I went before the commissioner's court. We had a media day. Like, if you go to my Facebook page, you'll see the timeline of how I did all this. I got them all together. We formed the Bexar County Special Courts Coalition. And then going forward, we did a series of seminars in the community, educating the community. I chair it now. I've been chairing it for a year. As a matter of fact, just on Friday, we had a Zoom CLE where all the specialty court judges came on for 15 minutes to give a broad overview of their program. And then we had a question and answer. And we always have testimonials that we brought to the people that completed the program in. And so I just think it's, to me, specialty courts are like the wave of the future. How are you going to truly keep someone from recycling in and out of the judicial system, of the judge working with them in this very real, intensive way? And so, I've been very busy. My first year on the bench, forming this whole coalition. I chair it. We meet every other month, and all the special court judges come together, and we decide, because see, the new law that OCA that governs for the governor's office, the governor's special court, say that going forward that all the specialty courts must be in compliance on September 1. Well, that's coming up through COVID. I think they're going to give us some extensions. But if you're not in compliance, you could be in danger of losing your grants. And all these specialty courts operate on grants. And so being in compliance means that, your team, that you have a probation officer, you have case managers, you have defense, ADA, the whole team comprised of 10 to 15 people. Well, most of the specialty courts do not have, which I think I really wish we could have, as a police officer, because the police officer is that person on the ground that goes into the community to see if the people that are on, the time curfews, they're on their curfew, they're there where they say, they live where they say. I wish that we don't have the money to have a police officer where right now. That's one of the things that coalition is trying to convince trying to ask the commissioner's court for money to hire police officers to be on our team. Do you guys have police officers on your team?
We had a detective for a long period of time, and he just retired. So we have a sergeant coming on, and it's all volunteer based. So
we want it to be fully paid. That is his job to be on the team. Like like a probation or case man. That his job is he's on these specialty court teams, and he's working with the judges, and he's a crucial part of the team. Mm-hmm. Because that's the T. We follow all the special courts follow the T key components, and you really are supposed to have a police officer on your team. And my bailiff helps out sometime in court, but he can't do the things like outside of court, of course. But anyway, that's one of the things that at me forming the coalition that we're trying to do, get funding to actually hire police officers to be on our teams.
I think what this interview kind of highlights is, I think it goes back to voting. I said, if you were not voted in that position, you would have not been able to do those things as far as
no. None of these things would have came. Like, I have people thank me all the time for educating them about the special courts. For like, I'm like in the community. I'm not just on my bench. I go and speak like every day of the week. Like before COVID, I would be at speaking engagements at schools, high schools, colleges, A&M, Northwest East. I would just be out there speaking to different people on panels because I want. To me, knowledge is power. I mean that in the most sincerest way. Like, knowledge is power. We perish for lack of knowledge. And I'm always trying to educate my community, educate my people, what's going down at the courthouse, the special courts, options. And I just believe that that's my personality. But for people voting in office, people would have never had someone like me always trying to educate the community of what's going on. I don't believe in just sitting on the bench doing my 5 o'clock, I go home. No, I want to be out there. I feel that I'm in the community asking people to vote for me. So if people are going to ask me to come speak and I'm not going to go, like, that's not right. Like, I take all, anybody ask me, like, advise me to speak, okay, I can do it too. I'm always going to say yes. If anybody wants me to speak, come on any podcast or do anything, I'm always like, yep, I'll be there. I will definitely be there to speak. What do you guys want to talk about?
Judge Huff, we thank you for really appreciate your service. In a great interview. I think we got a lot of information out of it. I think a lot of people get a lot of information out of it. Is there anything you want to say to the people before we leave?
Well, if you want to learn more about special courts, go to my Facebook page. I post a lot of stuff. Now that we're doing Zoom hearings, people can actually see me doing pleas on the bench. It's not because I wanted to do it. It's because they said we had to fulfill the requirement of open courts. We have to have a license and be on the YouTube. So, but anybody can see me like doing pleas. Devin said it's boring. He don't know why anybody would want to look at that. Yeah. But if you're interested in me or any judge, all the judges have YouTube licenses and channels now. So, yeah. Okay. And again, be ready for go. When we get open back up, please go and visit the judges in your city. Find out where the judges stand. The courts are open. These are taxpayer entities. You have the right to go into any courtroom and just sit and listen to what the judge is doing, what kind of sentences they're handing out.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for having me.
You're definitely welcome. John, you got anything?
I know y'all trying to wrap it up, but I was going to ask you about your nonprofit. The one that Vic mentioned in the bio. What was it called?
The youth transition into adult.
Yeah.
Oh, that's when I just do. My practice was half criminal and half CPS, and I was on the board of directors of this organization called WATIA, Youth Transition into Adult. It's kids that never got adopted and they're aging out, and it's a nonprofit that helps them like with buy backpacks. They're going out to college. Those things that parents would take care of. Like these kids get free tuition, right? But who helps them buy books? Who helps them buy sheets? Who helps them with those things that your parent, my parent did when you all got out to college? And it's so many things like as an 18, you're not ready for the world. And this group really tries to help these certain group of kids that just for whatever reason never got adopted, but they aged out of foster care. And who's there to make fill these little gaps for these kids. And sometimes we buy their graduation invitations, we buy a class ring for them, we buy their cap and gowns because again, who's there to do things that you're 18, you're like kind of like an adult, but really not an adult. You know, you may work at McDonald's, but you don't have enough money. So this group, Watia, it's two friends of mine, two attorneys, and they started this nonprofit, and it just does really good work.
Okay.
And you can Google them, and if you want to donate, because they're always accepting donations. Their goal is they want to build a dorm that these kids, when they go off to college and they close down, like at Christmas time, you remember in college, you go back home. These kids don't have anywhere to go to. They want to have a dorm that these kids, that this is their home. And when summertime comes and when Christmas time comes, they go back to this place. That's their home.
Nice.
That's nice.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll put that link at the bottom. We'll put that link in our bio at the end of the podcast.
Yeah. It's YTIA.org. O-R-G. And if you just put that in there, it'll pop up. You can go to their website. They do really good work.
Nice.
All right. Once again, thank you.
Okay. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Thanks for being on.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.